following presentation is for educational purposes only. All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader LLC. Trading futures involve substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.
I'll be your host, Tom Schneider, CMT with NinjaTrader. We're here with Tanja Trades. How you doing, Tanya?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, it could be better this morning because it was kind of hectic for sure in the markets, but I'm in a trade right now.
Yeah, maybe we can go right to the charts.
Yeah, we'll see if I'm looking for NASDAQ to go to London high.
Okay.
It's 763.25. So we'll see if we get there. Fortunately for me, I was trading micros, and sometimes that's just a little bit less players in that market, and it's just a little bit more erratic. So I actually did get stopped out, even though on NASDAQ I didn't hit my stop, but I got back into the trade. I mean, we'll see if this little fair value gap delivers us to London high. I'd like it to happen quickly. I don't really want us to close below this fair value gap here. Then it'll get invalidated. But we'll see if we can get there for scalp or whatnot.
So let's talk about that. Your entry, you mentioned a fair value gap. Can you explain, what's your definition of a fair value gap?
Okay, so it's when you have three different candles forming and there's a imbalance. There's space between this candle's low and this candle's high, you can see. And this is the area of interest then, where I'm pretty much looking to get into my trades. For retracements, or I also use them to invalidate levels if we close below them or above them. Then I do think of that as a potential market structure shift to the other side. So it's pretty key in my trading to use fair value gaps.
And so they usually happen on moves, right? I mean, there's not a lot of volume spread out between the two candles you're comparing.
Yeah, so you are it is essentially showing a willingness for the market to go into one side because there's speed in those candlesticks then, right? Because then it wasn't offering much sell side in that area. So if it retraces there, the theory is that there are orders sitting there to be filled towards that to join in the direction of the shift, right? So that's pretty much what happened. And yeah, I was pretty patient this morning. I didn't really like how we opened. It was pretty rangy. And then we did start to have that move to the upside. And then I was like, okay, let me see if I could join it. I do look at starting at like 1050 to see if there was any smaller fair value gaps like on the 30-second. And so I did still leave myself some breathing room, or so I thought, like here-ish, but like you can see I literally got ticked out at like 36.50 there. So I just had to rejoin, and we'll see if this ends up going. I would like it to happen. It's like 11:10 now. I mean, and DXY is moving up higher, so I don't know if I should even still be in this trade at this moment. I do think about sometimes time stops.
Right. So that's a good point. You have targets and time as well as price. We look at it as reevaluating the trade. Do you start to tighten up your stop as well as your target, or do you just flatten?
Really depends. Let me look at ES and such. Yeah, it doesn't look too good. Hmm.
And when you're looking at ES, are you looking at it as a place to rotate into?
I'm looking to see if like earlier ES was strong. I'm looking to see if there's also weakness there. I don't really like that we're coming back into it a second time here.
Right.
So I might we'll see what ends up happening, how this candle closes essentially. Um, it might, potentially even stop me by the end of this candle close. We'll find out. That's the beauty of it. So
Right.
essentially there's like 30 seconds left in this candle close. Um, I do want the bodies of the candle to close above this fair
Okay.
value gap here. That's sort of like the level I'm looking at, just a very small micro scale essentially, right? Because we're looking at the 1 minute. I do trade on the 1 minute a lot, even the
Okay.
30 second. Um,
The
yeah.
fair, I want to kind
Mhm.
of get back to the fair value gap. The speed really means not a lot of volume there. And so if we start to probe back into that area, there was an interest in that area
Yeah.
before. And the thought in my mind is there's not going to be a lot of interest in there again until we get to a point where there was a lot of interest, which is, possibly where your stop is, or hopefully higher, right? If we want to be
Yeah.
correct on our trade.
We'll find out. Like this candle is closed. That candle did close above it. So it
Yeah.
is pretty decent. I'm gonna just continue to monitor essentially. Um, it is the day before FOMC, so I don't really have high expectations on the markets too much today. So
Yeah.
maybe it is like probably wiser for me to maybe get out. We'll see if what ends up happening in the next few minutes. But yeah, I don't really expect like too much of a range today.
Oh yeah.
Um,
We've got less than 100 handles on the Nasdaq. Generally, you're looking at over twice that, even
yeah,
even in low volume markets as we've had lately.
yeah.
Just to be clear, when you say FOMC, you mean the FOMC minutes
Minutes,
that
minutes
arrive
tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
different, definitely than the actual FOMC rates decision, but still you do see um markets ranging a bit beforehand. And yeah, so like essentially today there's no high impact news. A big part of my trading is looking at whether or not we have red folder news,
Right.
right? Um, and because that's when the market is more likely to have larger ranges and bigger moves and faster price action. So it's just way better for the day trader to participate in
Yeah.
rather than waiting like, 20 minutes for a trade to work out or so.
So this week is what we call Fed Palooza, right? A lot of Fed speakers. Jim pointed out, I think, this could be a substitute for some of the news that we're not seeing, right? We'll have the traditional
Yeah.
weekly reports, we'll get the Fed speakers, but he also pointed out they could be speaking at commencements, right? And what are they going to talk about with the graduates? They're going to talk about Fed policy? Probably not.
Oh, they're speaking at like graduation ceremonies.
The amount, well, I'm just going from the
Yeah.
fact that some of them are speaking on Saturday, right?
Uh-huh.
So but there seem to be a lot of Fed speakers, and then we get the note that says they're not speaking on policy at this event. The event seems to be a commencement.
Mhm.
Just the number of Fed speakers seems to be
Mhm.
un larger than normal that we see between the Fed announcement and the blackout date.
Right. Right. And when is the blackout date, by the way?
So it starts the Saturday,
Okay.
the two Saturdays before the FOMC meeting. So we might have one more week of Fed speakers, and then they'll go silent before that June, what is it, June 12th, whatever date it is for the announcement.
Yeah. Okay. I do enjoy when the blackout dates happen, right? Because then no one's gonna open their mouth and say something that, those algorithms have certain keywords like coded for sure,
Yep.
to look at some suggestions and such. Like
You
I
do
do
get
enjoy the blackout dates, right? Because that's when they're not speaking at all, right?
right.
For like 2 weeks, right? Until they make their decision on the next month's rates.
Right. And it actually extends to the day after. So Jerome Powell will speak the day of the announcement to speak about the announcement. And then I think it extends through that Thursday. So really you start seeing like Raphael Bostic will speak Friday. He usually kicks off that whole new cycle. But you do get one speaker during the blackout date who's not a Fed member. It's Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, usually takes that opportunity to put her opinion on what, how the economy is doing, because I think it's she has no competition with the Fed speakers, and it's her time to really take the spotlight. So that's one thing to watch out for, and I've noticed it in the last couple of Fed meetings that she's been a little more vocal than she usually is.
Oh yeah, Janet Yellen, right? Like, cause they're working on possibly changing their balance sheet, right? And that affects the markets as well.
Right. Right, exactly. Looking at the trade right now, this has just kind of been the way trading has been for the last couple of days, and more than a couple of weeks. It's just hasn't found a little bit of a direction. Hopefully, it'll find your direction.
Uh, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't hope too much, but yes, they just take a new high over there, which, and while NQ didn't, not really too keen on that. That happening.
Yeah.
I would like NQ to follow suit. I mean, I might just put the stop there now because you see, like, it did have a pretty good reaction there, went up. Now we created another fair value gap on the 30-second here.
Right.
But it looks like that's not going to be too clean of a move to the upside anymore. So, I mean, I'll see it to see how this candle closes, but
yeah, that's the way it's been
not
going.
too,
It seems these rangy
not too
days,
clean.
right?
It just, yeah. Yeah, you just either have to be super patient or you just have to not like really trade it. It's up to you. I still trade it. I'll take like smaller sizing. Today I did micros. I do have different tiers of risk based on what kind of news there is and what kind of structure we have. Like I'll risk half of what I normally do on days like this, where there's no high impact news. You have high impact news later in the week, and you have like ES and the indices a bit out of sync, and you have DXY not really correlated well, right?
And
So
DX1 is the dollar index for those of you
yeah,
who aren't aware. Yeah, these are the days we kind of say, big, small, or not at all. This is small or not at all in my mind when we don't have, like you said, a trending day, a big impact day. We're out of options expiration. The hedging has been the rehedging has probably already occurred yesterday. So what's going to move this market? Maybe not. So,
yeah,
probably better not to have a big size, right?
yeah, exactly. I find honestly options expiry week, like last week, those are my favorite weeks. Those are the weeks that I actually perform the best because there's more volatility, more likelihood to have some reversals, like you said, because there are different hedge funds and such taking their large positions off and rolling them, or just deciding to close them overall. I find it to be my best performing week because a lot of my trades are based on reversals, right?
Right.
So
Right. Now, do you come back at the end of the day to trade? Because I find that during options expiration week, and not Friday, I'm talking throughout the week, you'll see that at the end of the trading day, these bizarre moves, and they're not bizarre if you know what's happening, but they're just, there's no news driving it. It just reverses and goes to this level, and if you're unaware, it might be surprising. Here's a fair value gap looks to be brewing as well.
right, I'm probably going to now trail my stop to this.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
let's see if it closes above this. I mean, I think it just took that high, so it's smart for me to do that. We respected this one. It's decent, making higher lows.
Like it.
We'll see. I mean, now it's just a 5-point stop. I don't really have any sort of emotion tied to this trade or anything.
Sure.
We're up 5 points. We're going for like, yeah, 13 and a half. Stops now 5.
2.5 risk reward, right?
Yeah. And risk reward becomes dynamic as you're in the trade. I think a lot of people don't really think about that. It's like as you're in the trade, you're also as you're like closing your stop up, tightening up your stop, now you have a different risk reward. And now from this to go to here, and I'm risking kind of this to this throughout the trade, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so, I mean, it was unfortunate really for me to get stopped out there. That's one of those things that will actually kind of drive you a little crazy. I was just talking about it on my stream. It's like if you get like sometimes I try to be very precise. If you're too precise sometimes, try to be too precise on a day like today where it's going to be sloppy,
mm-hmm.
then you might get stopped out. If I took NQ, I wouldn't have, but that's just the name of the game sometimes. So, and it's really just about like kind of staying cool in those moments because you could really get carried away. If right, that's where like people could get in a rage and just start maybe doubling the size they had in the previous trade in the next trade.
Revenge trading. Yeah.
Mhm.
That is a thing where you're directionally right.
Mhm.
Your setup is right. Your markets, agrees with you eventually, but it is that precision or that, we look at areas, right? And it's easy to get caught up, maybe in where that should be, where that stop should be, initially, right? Trailing a stop is, to me, trailing a stop is probably the easiest thing to do, right? Because,
Mhm.
what the trend is. Like right now, you're trending up towards your target, you're pretty close. It's easy to make that a break even or better stop and say, oh, well, if it trades back, I've been in this trade long enough. I'm going to I want to get paid for my time a little bit, right? Um,
Right.
but that
Yeah.
initial out of the gate stop can be, that to me is an art. That to me is not science. It can be science.
And
And
speaking of which, I will put my stop at break even now, just because like on the lower time frame, that is another fair value gap, right? The start of another one. So
yeah,
pretty much. And when I do put my stop at break even, I do something. I just take some partials, which is called like pay the trader, but we'll see here if I get hit in the next 15 seconds or 30 seconds or so. This end of this 10-second candle. I mean, at the end of this 1 minute candle is like in 5 more seconds.
so when you say you
It's
take
not.
partials,
It means I'll take a part of my position off. So
you'll
right
you'll
there.
do you have like a preset amount, like right now you're in a 15 lot, you might
Yeah,
have a 5
so
lot or a 3 lot, something
yeah, like
ready to
5 lots or half the position. Yeah, I'm just gonna, yeah. I
there we
didn't take
go.
it. Just went uh yeah, I gave it like another minute or so. So there you go. Target is hit there. Um, yeah, brought me back to green on the day. It's not
Good.
which is nice, but it's not a trade that really should have brought this trade. That's just unfortunate that it took me out like right here. I think I could probably show. And I
Well,
decided just to re-enter because I was like, okay, the risk reward's still okay for me to re-enter,
yeah.
but that's just not fun when you're stopped right there. That's like
Oh, yeah.
you feel personally victimized by the market sometimes when that
Right.
happens.
Well,
Um,
and it's
and you have to
also,
make sure when if you're actually feeling very heated about that, yeah, you gotta walk away. But I
yeah, yeah.
wasn't so heated. I just decided to just get back in during my stream here because I was like, okay, there's a FEG here. I mean, this is close enough. If it comes back, then I'll just wait it out. But I would rather, um, just be because the original stop technically wasn't taken, and it was around where I was in it anyway. So that's actually a really nice exit that I'm happy about.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, there you go. Um,
oh, that's
so
funny. Is that you guys have sound effects?
we have some
Um,
sound effects, but
right.
what's interesting about your stop, Tanya, is you nailed it. And obviously the result is you didn't want to get nailed in it, right? Because it turned around, but something you identified about that market, what's the goal of a stop, right? Obviously protection, but also you want to stay in a winner even if it retraces. So you were just like right at that point. If that low is right where your stop is,
Yeah.
there's something to be said for it.
That makes me feel better that you're saying that, because I am a perfectionist and that does drive me a little crazy. I'm definitely going to be thinking about that later today.
Well, I mean, you
And
identified
we make the joke on my channel that the market makers are watching my stream.
right,
And so when
right.
something like that happens,
Yeah,
that's just like part of the joke, but it's totally not. I mean, micro Nasdaq's just going to do that to you sometimes.
sure.
Um, and that's just life, right?
Well, and I think that's important for new traders to know
Yeah.
is NASDAQ and micro NASDAQ, the charts resemble each other, but they're not
Mhm.
going to have the same highs and lows because it's
Yeah. It's still
different
different.
trades. It's
Yeah.
different participants. They might be
Yeah.
the same participants overlapping, but
Hmm.
the charts will look the same. They might give the same indications, and your technicals are very close, but the highs might be a tick or two off, and that's why Tanya might
Hmm.
feel frustrated because it didn't get stopped out on the Nasdaq, but you were were you trading 15 lot there? What were you trading, if you
Yeah.
don't mind me
Yeah.
asking?
Yeah. So yeah, I did. I was. And then I just got back in.
Yeah, so
So I'm overall small green on a day. It's not something like I'm gonna write home about, but
sure.
um,
But the benefit of micros is, you can trade more than one regular, right?
yeah, that's what I
15
do
is
like
one.
about micros is
Yeah.
that it's a lot easier to take partials,
Yep.
right? Because
Yep.
now you have 15 contracts. Now you can take 5 off, 10 off in increments of 5 or whatever. But if you
Mhm.
have two minis, it's a different game. It's difficult. It's like your partial is one contract. Or if you even
Right.
just have one mini, now you have to decide, am I going to take my full profit at my first target at the first swing high, or am I going to hold it for the higher time frame swing high, like maybe the hourly swing high or the London high,
Right.
or etc. Um, so that's always tricky. So actually if I'm keen on taking like around one mini, then I'll probably just do 10 micros. Like
Sure.
recently I've been just doing 2 or 3 minis. Um, and I've been okay with it. And I've been a little bit more conservative in taking the full target at the first target, because one bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush type of thing.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
if you are streaming and taking your trades in front of a live audience, you are a little bit more conservative, and yeah, and you feel a little bit more pressure. Okay, take the money while it's there. Um, and it's been working out for me, right? So actually,
That's
my stream I've been doing pretty well.
that's great.
Um, I think last week we had 6 wins, 2 losses, one break even. The week before that, I believe it was 4 wins, 2 losses. So I take about like 6 to 8 trades a week, or 6 to 10, maximum really 10. I mean, I don't really like to take more than like 3 trades maximum a session. And like you did ask me if I trade the afternoon.
Yeah.
If I traded the afternoon last week, I don't think I did actually. But it did provide opportunities, because a lot of times if I'm up on the day already in the morning, and I'm pretty satisfied, content with enough, I might just use the afternoon and maybe do it on a different account, or a
Okay.
different or maybe like what we call evaluation accounts, which are just like simulated to perhaps get more funding.
Right.
But other than that, that's just another way I manage my own risk, is deciding which contracts, which accounts to trade, right?
Yeah.
Um, and how many of them and such. So yeah, I, I, yeah, I don't know.
I
I'm pretty pleased. You're making me feel a little bit better about that
well,
stop out for sure. It does.
good. I I want to
That's
just
entertainment, I guess. To,
well,
to, to my to my live stream, we all watched me get stopped down and ripped higher, and I was like, and then I like went to see on the chart, wait, and I was like, wait a second, like it didn't actually go to my stop on the NQ, because I will trade sort of the micro based on the NQ chart, because
sure.
there's just way more participants in NQ.
Right. Yeah, we actually got that question, I think, the other day, is how to look at NQ data, not micro, not
Yeah.
the big contract on the micro chart. But I do want to remind everybody that Tanya is actually trading with a live account. Here what
Yeah.
Jim and I do, we look at simulated accounts, but Tanya's actually, using a live account. So what you
Yeah.
saw earlier was an actual trade.
Yeah, and that trade was actually like live. Like
Live.
with these prop firms, you actually get like sim funded and you also get live funded. So if you do well enough in the simulated environment, they then push you up to live environment. So there is a little bit difference in the fills there and such. So this is my live account with Top Step. I got some pretty good news there actually recently, is that they took my other, you can have up to a certain amount of accounts there, and they took my other funded accounts and just consolidated them into one live
Oh,
funded for me. So it's pretty
great.
cool.
That's awesome.
Okay. The thing that really helps my is helping my perfectionism is that exit. So I'll give myself that at least. The exit was pretty clean,
Oh,
right there
yeah.
near the high of the session, I would say. So I'm happy there that I just had my limit there, because sometimes I will actually sometimes I'll like have the limit higher because I'll think, okay, we're gonna go to this level and through it. So I actually want to try to get a better fill on the exit. So as it's going through it, I'll like click sell ask or something.
Right.
But that is also, you know, asking too much in this environment today. So that's why I had my limit there.
Because it's been such a tight trading
Yeah,
range.
tight range. It's
Yeah.
essentially taking those highs and lows and not really closing above them, going back into the range. And you can see that, like, it took this low, didn't close below it, went back into the range. Well, the general direction was up, so that's why we went for that one. You see
Yeah.
that really close cleanly, probably on the 1 minute, and then back into the range. So that's how you could, how I look at whether or not I'm going to participate, is I look for those fair value gaps, because if there isn't one, then we really are just ranging and we're
Right.
not having much speed or direction in either way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Tanya, we're running up against time. This
Mhm.
went way too fast. I'd love to have you back on.
Mhm.
But where can people find you if they want to, watch you trade?
Just Tanya Trades on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. It's all just Tanya Trades, and that's it. So, yeah,
Awesome.
I just post my highlights on Instagram. So like little snippets, like 10, like 1 minute, 10, I mean, a 1 minute short or something like that of a recap of a trade. And yeah.
That's the way things are going, right? Shorter videos, smaller attention spans, but
Well, we have
good
people
stuff.
watching live streams like 2 hours every single day.
Oh
People
yeah,
are, they show up every day, and that's really about how you become successful in the market. You just show up every day
right.
and you be consistent in that way, and eventually, it will click for you.
Yeah, it's putting the time in. Totally agree. Thanks again, Tanya, for
Yeah,
coming
thanks for
on.
having me. I'm glad
Yeah,
a little bit of entertainment there with the trade as well.
yeah, yeah. That was fun.
All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader LLC. Trading futures involve substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.